Okay, people. Exciting times. Which Premier League striker was the best striker in their prime? We're going to get straight into this. Joe Thomlinson joins me. He's the perfect guest. Get yourselves comfortable here, guys. You are going to both hate and love this. That's the idea here. I've wanted to do a bracket for some time, and the time is now, okay? Joe, how are you feeling about this? Basically, what we've got here is, when it comes to a season, the 32 top scoring strikers in Premier League history. So there are a few players that have not made this list, which will become apparent to people and they will get annoyed. Now, I will say straight off the bat, you guys are involved in a couple of ways. First of all, I'd like to do this again with my favourite strikers. And if we can get ourselves 10k likes on this, I know it's big, but I just want to know if this is a format that you guys like, then we will do that. Second thing is, you guys are going to be voting the whole way through. So be ready in the live chat, because if we can't decide... So first up, we've got Haaland up against Andrew Johnson. Yeah, that's right. Andrew Johnson had an unbelievable season. The lowest scoring season on this, Joe, is 24 goals in a season. But there are some omissions here that are going to upset some people. Final thing to say, Salah, Ronaldo and Son are not in this bracket because I don't consider them strikers. Joe, how are you? How are you feeling? Talk to me.
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I think Son is very, very unlucky here. I do think he's unlucky. I'd agree with Cristiano, because Cristiano, striker more towards the tail end of his career. Certainly in Manchester United wasn't a striker, he was a winger, although he did play in a devastating front three. But I think Sonny, he's unlucky here. He's unlucky. He's got the James Allcott curse there, I'm not going to lie.
But honestly, I've tried to do it as sort of factual as possible for this first one. And obviously it's in their prime as well. So that's why I kind of wanted to make it something that was sort of bespoke to that. And when it comes to a single season, as I say, 24 goals, often the high quality strikers like Andrew Johnson or Andy Johnson, I don't know how he wants to be called, miss out on these kind of lists. But there are some names that aren't in there.
I think it's just Andrew Cole. I think it's Andrew Cole.
Okay, so we'll go Andy Johnson. Right. So, as I say, Andy Johnson scored 24 goals. I mean, we don't need to talk about him for too long, but I think we need to give him a little bit of respect. What we've done as well is we've gone, so the most goals in a Premier League season is Haaland. Haaland, obviously, with 36. And so he is the sort of first seed in this bracket as well. And then we've gone from the bottom to try and make it a bit fairer as well. So Andy Johnson had a good time, had an amazing season. But Haaland, I think this is an easy one to kick us off. Do you even need to say anything?
This is a brutalisation, this one, isn't it? If we're being totally honest, like Andy Johnson, poppy little footballer. And at Palace, he was actually pretty devastating, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I do remember him being extremely clinical. So let's not start disrespecting Andy Johnson, but he's not in the same realms as Erling Haaland in terms of peak season.
Yeah.
I think Erling Haaland, he's going to be a serious problem on this list, because if we're talking peak season, he's already decimated many players on this list. And I think the titles have to come into it, man.
No, they do not. Which leads us on perfectly. Leads us on perfectly to the second one, right? So you've got Chris Sutton here. Now, some of these guys, I'm a bit older than Joe, so Joe's going to have to lean on me for some of these. We've got Sir Les Ferdinand, who was unbelievable for my team and scored 101 goals in his first 5 seasons in the Premier League. We're talking prime. This guy was a joke. Up against Chris Sutton, who had one great season for Blackburn back in the title-winning season. So he got himself a title. And if you're here with us in the chat right now, you can vote live to see if this goes to it. But I don't think it will do. Les Ferdinand miles away from Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton, basically, in that one season with Alan Shearer, was great, scored loads of goals. And I don't want to be kind of like too harsh on him when it comes to that. But 25 goals actually in that season is pretty impressive, actually. But this is a non-starter really for me. I think Ferdinand makes it through pretty comfortably. Do you have anything to say on this matter?
I would have sided with Ferdinand as well, has to be said. SAS obviously has to be taken into account, though, due to the fact that title-winning I do think we've got to take some title-winning campaigns into account here, man. I know that you're kind of already discounted Haaland's treble. You've already discounted Sutton SAS title-winning campaign. That's concerning for me, Jimbo. That's an early concern for me. But I'm going to lean on you with the QPR knowledge. The bias is shining strong with Ferdinand there.
I think this is an easy one though. Look, it was Player of the Year as well, and alongside he wasn't. So here's a good way of putting it. Alan Shearer, who's obviously going to be in this, right? Ferdinand with Shearer, okay, world record fee, but he wasn't really a B-side. Chris Sutton was clearly a B-side. Ferdinand was absolutely ridiculous for QPR. And when it comes to the England squad, Sutton rarely got in there, kind of because he kicked up a fuss, but Ferdinand was regularly in there as well. So I'm putting Ferdinand through. I think that's absolutely fine. And I'm older than you, so I've seen them both play, so they're going through. Okay. Robin van Persie, who had a couple of good seasons. First question, actually. Robin van Persie, amazing final season at Arsenal, got 30 goals. And then, of course, the season he's known for best is the Man United season, which I'm sure you have fond memories of. Tevez, actually, his best season was for Man City. He scored over 40 goals in 2 seasons for them. In their prime, obviously both played for Man United.
Yeah.
Who do you want to put forward when it comes to this one?
Definitely RVP. Definitely RVP for me. I think his all-round game extremely clear of Carlos Tevez. I think Carlos Tevez certainly an excellent facilitator, and I think off the ball a beast. You know, there were moments of Carlos Tevez where he was just sensational, weren't there? But I think attitude left a lot to be desired. I hated the way it kind of fell out of Manchester United, to be honest with you. And RVP's all-round game, clinically underrated. You know, as a creator, as a goal scorer, as a finisher. Also, you know, in his early career, RVP, I think when he first arrived, he was almost more of a winger. And then he kind of transitioned into being an out-and-out number 9. And those back-to-back seasons, I think RVP could go could go deep here, honestly, because those 2 back-to-back seasons where he went Golden Boot, Premier League title, is one singular season at Manchester United. I'm not going to say single-handedly won them the title, but I think that was the difference maker. And I don't know how many other players on this list were the single-handed difference maker in league title wins.
That's true.
So I think that peak, that one peak is seriously high, man.
Yeah. I think overall he does get there. I think when I'm looking at all the metrics here, I've got so many stats in front of me, guys, right now. So in terms of overall goals in the Premier League, 144 for Van Persie. Tevez has got 84, which is less, obviously. And also when it comes to 20 goals and assists, because I think that you can chuck that in there, the assist element to it. Again, Van Persie's out in front in that one. Only 4-3, but it's pretty tight. So yeah, I'm okay with putting Van Persie first. I'm intrigued to see what the poll says for that one. I wonder if that one's tighter than we think. Or do you think that would be a landslide? That'd be interesting to get your predictions on that.
I think Tevez was ever... He never felt like he was ever the guy, if that makes sense. Like he was he was maybe the second, third choice at Manchester United when you're talking about the guy behind a Rooney, behind a Ronaldo. He went to Man City. I never really thought of him as the guy. Maybe like the last time I thought about him like that was when he was at West Ham. Like obviously that's very disrespectful given he's such an exceptional player. Whereas Van Persie for multiple seasons at Arsenal was the guy. Went to United and again was the guy. And if we're talking about singular peaks, that for me stands in well clear.
One final thing as we say goodbye to Tevez, I would say absolutely dragged West Ham when it came to survival and was in better teams. But Van Persie was in an average Arsenal team. He was in, as iconic Man United teams go, probably in one of the most average ones, kind of near the end. And Tevez was in one of the greatest Man United teams and a stacked Man City team. So that's probably why he's not the guy when it comes to both those teams, as we wave Tevez off.
Agree. No, I agree.
Okay. Now, here's the big one that you've all been waiting for. Thierry Henry up against James Beattie. Yeah, that's right. James Beattie. James Beattie makes the list. His overall numbers aren't great. I'm not going to lie. But... Well, I mean, again, do you know what this is? I want to talk about these players for a bit longer. Obviously, I understand that Henry's making it through here, right? 90. So he had one really, really good season, Beattie, but 90 Premier League goals in 329 games is not. It's not great.
Yeah.
But he should be proud to make the list. It's good for him to make the list, but I don't even want to waste time. I'm going to bet on Henry through. Suarez versus Sturridge. Sturridge is a sort of what could have been, but we're talking prime here. We're talking prime.
Yeah, and I mean, Luis Suarez's prime, that singular season, again, could be a contender to win this whole thing, honestly. We're talking singular prime season. I don't think I can recall many more devastating runs than Luis Suarez, given he started that season banned, I think, didn't he? So if he'd have taken a full season there, I think dread to think what he would have done to some of those smaller sides. He was single-handedly just slapping Norwich over.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Norwich were, took the brunt of that when it came to him. In terms of Sturridge, obviously the main season for him was 2013-14. Got himself 29 goals and assists, 7 assists, 22 goals. But yeah, I mean, this is an easy one. Suarez goes through. Suarez could go deep here. Suarez could go deep when it comes to prime.
Deep, honestly, I really do.
Could go all the way. Right. Aguero, Adebayor. Is this an easy one as well? Adebayor wasn't a funny one. His best season was for Arsenal. I thought it might have been in that Tottenham season when they had Van der Vaart, but it wasn't. 24 goals in the 2007-2008 season. Probably, there's a few of these players here. I think Sturridge and Adebayor, where in a different world, they could have been higher up on a lot of different lists. And also, there's a few of these. Sorry, there's a
concern for Sergio. I'm slightly concerned for Sergio, man.
What when it comes to prime?
Obviously, I think I'm kind of looking at this for over a season-long gap. Obviously, he's had he's probably one of the best finishers I've ever seen, Sergio Aguero, and obviously his goal-to-minute ratio across Premier League campaigns is going to be extremely hard to beat, and we can bring that up all we want. But his injury record on season was so bad that his actual singular numbers by a season aren't exceptional, and they should be, because we are talking about probably the third or fourth best striker in the history of the league. But just in terms of a peak season, I struggle to lock down one.
I'm gonna keep my powder dry on this one because there are a lot of stats that you can use for Aguero, and I don't think he needs them just now. I think he's going to need them in the next round because he's up against Suarez in the next round. That is going to be very interesting. So Aguero makes it through. Adebayor makes his way out. It is interesting, a few of these players who've played for two sort of monster clubs, like Tevez, Man City, Man United, Van Persie, Arsenal, and Man United, Adebayor, Tottenham, and Arsenal. I know some people don't think Tottenham are big, but you get what I mean. It's interesting, some of those players that moved about like that. Right. We've got Ronaldo here. Ronaldo shouldn't be here. It should be a different name, which is a bit odd. They might have a little, a little bug in the system there. James, who's he'll sort me out. He'll tell me who that should be instead. Let's move on for a second. Rooney versus Torres. This is tough.
I wonder. Come off it.
Torres was in his prime in that first season for Liverpool was outrageous. Outrageous.
That is cute. Yeah, that is cute. Do that, man. That was cute. He was obviously rip-roaring when he first arrived, doesn't he, in red? But let's not be silly. Let's not be silly here. Let's not entertain silliness in this video.
Okay.
And we're stacking up against Wazza.
Overall numbers, obviously Rooney has that. Man United's top goal scorer.
Numbers.
In a single season, though, was he more devastating than Torres in that outrageous season that he had? Let me find what year it was. His first year, wasn't it? It was 2000 and... where is it? 07-08. Scored 33 times
Rooney,
his first campaign, 24 in the league.
And he outscored I think Rooney put up 09-010 put up 26, 27, didn't he? I think, given also that he wasn't dragging teams, but he was involved in title-winning campaigns in that run, 3 on the bounce. I think. Where's yours, Fernando?
I think that feels like a tap-in sometimes when it comes to. I mean, I guess Liverpool were a good side at the time. They weren't as stacked as Man United throughout. That provides a bit of that means more chances. That means better players around you. I think the titles thing is a nonsense a little bit. His best season was the 24 goals. Rooney's best season was 27 in a Premier League season, which is better.
Crazy numbers, especially given that he was, like you said, we can talk about players providing, but he's also got to compete for goals with other players in there. Torres is the guy. They're chucking it to Torres. If Torres isn't scoring goals in those games, they're struggling. Rooney is doing absolutely. I think we've got to take also. Let's just come away from the stats. Let's just step back from the stats for 5 seconds.
That's fine.
And look at what Rooney was providing as a player across the pitch in terms of his work rate, in terms of his defensive capabilities, just his passing range and his general leadership. Like, I think sometimes the intangibles, the statistic intangibles, go against Wayne Rooney when we are talking about maybe the best English striker I've ever witnessed.
Do you know what's difficult, right? Because I think obviously in behind, Torres is electric. He's devastating, especially in that season. We're talking Prime here. Stay with Prime. This is not sponsored by Prime, but stay in the Prime.
This is forced. This one's forced.
Do you think? I'm okay. I'd be okay with this going to the vote. Was he that? Was Rooney? Was Rooney? Look, think about it. So for England, 2004, devastating, right? What that main season where he became the main man through the middle, 2011-12, fine. But Torres in a
if he was up against Suarez here or Aguero, I would say let's chuck it to the vote. Torres, I think we're just starting to over-egg El Nino a little bit. He was magnificent. He really was magnificent when he first came to Liverpool, and I think it was that shock factor as well to just how good he was. But it was not Rooney's level, man. It just wasn't.
All right, you feel strongly, do you?
I do, man. I just can't have Rooney going to a vote against Torres here and Rooney mysteriously crashing out as everybody vetoes him.
Okay, Rooney, I'll let you have it. I'll let you have it for now. Okay, so we're trying to find the right name, but we're going to go with Dwight Yorke, who I don't think is he's the next on the list. We're missing a name in here, so we apologise to that person. But for some reason, we've got a little bug in this, but so be it. But this makes it a little bit tighter. Dwight Yorke versus Danny Ings. Danny Ings is in there because he had an unbelievable season for Southampton. Again, a bit like James Beattie. Got himself over the line by doing that. It was 22 goals, 24 goals and assists in 2019-20 for Southampton. Dwight Yorke overall was better, had a better career, or is how, But Danny Ings has scored a lot more goals than you would think. I would put Dwight Yorke ahead of Danny Ings, even easily at his best. Okay, Dwight Yorke.
Yeah, I don't think it's a question mark.
Okay, right. We move over to the right-hand side, and we have a whole host of new names. Here we go. Shearer, Aubameyang. Do you want to? I'm not even going to waste time with this. Shearer is through.
But can we just give 30 seconds of props to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang because he does get massively hammered now by literally everyone, doesn't he? I'm not saying he's anywhere near Shearer's level, but I think there was 5 domestic seasons on the bounce where he put up over 20 league goals for Dortmund and Arsenal. He was amazing when he first came to Arsenal, man. He actually was amazing. So he's obviously going to get blasted out here by Shearer, but let's not down on him like some of the other names in this list.
True. 27 goals and assists in 2018-19. Kind of pretty much won them an FA Cup. But I mean, no chance. Obviously, Shearer makes it through. Van Nistelrooy versus Le Tissier. Now, a lot of people screaming for Harry Kane here. So that might be the name that we're missing. If we don't see a Harry Kane here, don't worry. He's supposed to be in here.
Kane's on it.
Is he still in it? Okay. Right. So Van Nistelrooy up against Le Tissier. Wildly different players. Wildly different. Probably wildly different views on the world, I would say. But it's kind of what you're after. 93-94, I think, was Le Tissier's season, and he scored banger after banger. I remember meeting him once at a bar, and I said, why didn't you ever, move on somewhere else? And he said, I like being the big fish. Now, and I don't know if that feels weak to me. I was always like, come on, you go test yourself. But he just didn't want to do it. He didn't... And I didn't want to get into I left off that, which I think was good. Keep it to football.
Good decision, Jimbo. Imagine being drawn into the big pharma debate with him.
Yeah, no, we just don't need it. As I say, 93-94 best season, 25 goals, 34 goals and assists that season.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. Just about kept them up. Goals from penalties. There's quite a few in there, to be fair to him. But he also could score screamers as well. So literally the utter opposite of Van Nistelrooy. And again, this is where like you, the Man United fan, thinks, well, if you're playing for Man United, then that means you're amazing. But Letizia was good.
I do, but I think Van Nistelrooy is the best finisher I've ever seen at Man United. Like,
his best season was 25.
Penalty now. So, yeah, but he did go, I think, 23, 25, 20, 3 seasons on the bounce. Obviously, he did take penalties as well, but he was like a defining figure in my childhood. Van Nistelrooy. Like, I think his goal to game ratio in the Premier League, I think it's like 100 and 150 or something like that. Like, it's absolutely obscene. Like,
so I've got it.
One season, 2002, 2003, was insanity, man. Like, it was. He's so clinical. I would go Van Nistelrooy here.
Yeah, Van Nistelrooy's goals per 90, 0.7, which is 5th in the all-time list on what I'd put together, which was players with over 30 games, I think I put. So he's in good company there. I think this is a pretty easy one. I think overall, in terms of being deadly, we're talking about a striker. That's what he did. Van Nistelrooy, I think, has to go through.
He does.
Kevin Phillips against Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink. This is tricky.
Yeah.
Because, or is it?
No, mate. That one season with Sunderland.
Yeah.
It's like scoring 30 goals with Sunderland.
His overall numbers aren't great.
But this is peak, man. This is peak. We've got to stop taking into account entire careers.
You're right. So overall, 92 goals in 263 games. Scored for 5 different clubs in the Premier League. In terms of a single season prime, as you say, he is 11th on the all-time list. 34 goals and assists. What I would say is Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink. Do you know what? If I'm picking out of the two of them when they're at their deadliest, Hasselbank's actually, he punches pretty high, if that is even a phrase, because I think he's one where you wouldn't even think of him when people go, right, list amazing strikers. But he was deadly. Absolutely deadly. Yeah. Scored 23 goals in back-to-back seasons in the Millennium season and 01-02 for Chelsea. Scored a lot of goals for Leeds as well. I think it's Hasselbaink for me. If I had to pick a team for a final, I'm picking Hasselbaink.
You did a fair for you there, mate.
Okay. Hasselbank's through. Now, this stinks. This stinks.
This is one of the hardest ones, mate. This for sure is one of the hardest ones.
Oof. Wilderness Kid just said. Happy New Year, Wilderness Kid. Oof, indeed. If you're enjoying yourselves, by the way, hit the like button for me, just so I know that you are enjoying it. And we're going to be doing loads and loads more lives with this series and others as well. So important thing, I think, is to click that notification bell if you're already subscribed. Make sure you do that. Or just subscribe if you want to. Drogba versus Ian Wright. Ouch.
What am I going to say here, Jim?
Go.
I'm going to put it out. Like, I do think it's really close in terms of them as players. If we're talking peaks here, which I think is crucial, I'm not convinced Ian Wright put up a 20-goal Premier League, non-penalty goal Premier League season. Whereas there was that season with Didier where I think he scored 28, Lamps took the pens.
Okay, so their top season, let's take our time with this one because this one is very difficult. Make sure you're voting. Yeah. Drogba's greatest season was 15th on the all-time list, 29, 09 and 10.
29. Was there any pens in there? 1 pen?
How many pens? I haven't got it in front. Is that what that is? Non-penalty. So, sorry, the non-penalty goals were 28 of them.
28.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
That's how rare. Yeah,
that is on pens, obviously. Now.
Yeah, that's true. Ian Wright's greatest season was 23 goals, which he did twice. Only 7 pens. Interesting. What I would say, what needs to be remembered is the context here when it comes to Ian Wright. Because Ian Wright was playing for a team that was known for just winning 1-0. And he scored all of the goals for them. Like, he was everything to them. Absolutely everything to them. Ian Wright scored over 20 goals 3 times. Didier Drogba, see, in a team where they score more goals as well, I think is a thing. Did it 4 times. Oh, no.
What I will say is that in that season, when we're talking about prime seasons, when Drogba put up 28 non-penalty goals, he also won the domestic double. In that double, he scored in the final. I think he played in 10 finals, scored in 10 finals, won 10 finals. Like, I do think in that season as well, we can find multiple examples of him in the big games having huge impacts, win the moments. So
overall Premier League,
Wrighty.
last one.
Wrighty.
Ian Wright, overall Premier League goals, 113. Didier Drogba, 104. So he beats him on that. Does beat him on that.
Prime, man, it's not career. It's that one season, the prime season. And for me, Didier has had a higher singular season.
Yeah. Yeah, that stings. Drogba makes it through. What did the vote say? The vote said 58% to Drogba. Tight. Very tight. Right. Andrew, interesting this actually, that they've come up against each other. So as I say, look, I can't see Kane here. So maybe Kane was on the Yorke one. Oh, no, he is down there. Sorry, he's a bit lower down. He's a little bit lower down. Sorry, I'm zoomed in too much. Cole and Sheringham hated each other.
Mm.
And one of them is going to hate the other one just a little bit more after this.
It'll be Sheringham hating Cole because it has to be Cole, mate. Again, singular season has to be Andy Cole.
So the singular season we need to be careful with, right? Because when it comes to that singular season, it was a season where there were 22 teams. So you got more games.
True.
So I just want to let that be heard. Okay. But Andy Cole was pretty outrageous. I think he's...
Yeah.
Where is he on the all-time list? He is right up there.
Only one penalty as well in the entirety of his Premier League career.
Yeah, that's pretty solid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fourth on the all-time list, 187 goals. Sheringham was great though. Who started? Yeah. Do you know what? Cole started the cup final, didn't he? He started the Champions League final.
I personally think it is Andy Cole, but I feel like Sheringham's peak may have actually been before United.
Yeah, that's true. So he was kind of at his best. He was right up there with Shearer. Maybe he won the Golden Boot in 1993 alongside Shearer. Those were probably his better years. Because weirdly, after the 98-99 season, he was a sub for that, obviously, as we remember. And then the next season, he became the starter, didn't he? And had an amazing season for them. In terms of his best ever season, I'm just trying to find his name here now. Struggling. I can't find it. But I know he scored 23 way back when. I think this is an easy one. I think it's Andy Cole overall. I think it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andy Cole. What was the vote on that one? I'm intrigued. Very different kind of player. Do you know what is interesting, though? Sheringham played, obviously, miles more for England than Andy Cole did.
Yeah. And Andy Cole is one of the most underrated players in Premier League history as well, isn't he? So,
what do you think about... Actually, we'll get to, the question I will ask you in a bit is the whole, how many chances he needed thing. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Right. Lukaku and Vardy. And there is Harry Kane. We see him now. And we've actually got a few left here. There we go. Okay. Lukaku and Vardy.
It's Vards, man.
Yeah, it's Vards. Title-winning season. Lukaku, 17 in that season for West Brom. Then back-to-back, or 3 seasons where I think he got 20 on the trot, maybe, for Everton.
Yeah, if your peak is at Everton, I'm afraid problems in the draw. Problems in the draw. If your peak's at Everton, problems in the draw.
Was that Everton right?
The fact that peaked at Leicester but won the league title at Leicester, and that run where he was at 13 goals in a row. I think the one for me, I'm afraid, Vards is through.
Okay. Final thing I'll say to Lukaku as we wave goodbye is Lukaku's best ever season, 25 goals. Vardy's best ever season, 24. Shame.
Yeah, at Everton.
What do you mean at Everton? What does that mean? What
It
does that
didn't
mean?
contribute to anything. It didn't contribute to anything. If that had
That's
won
ridiculous.
Everton the title, unless
So what? He
Vardy's
scores 100.
24 won the title, I would
What?
say.
What are you on about? He scores. So he scores 100 goals, but he's not had a good season because he didn't win anything. What are you on about?
No, I think I didn't see. I'm not saying 100. If that was 100 goals, Jimbo, I think it would be a totally different scenario. But 1 goal difference between the two, and one of those goals potentially wins them a league title. I go with the league title.
Okay. Well, I would say I can see people in the chat getting annoyed about people not being in there. Again, it's down to who scored the most goals. The 32 scored the most goals, strikers, in a single season. So go check it, and you can see that all these guys should have been in there. Although there's the Dwight Yorke thing, which I think is wrong. But that players who have missed out, and this is why I want to do this again with our favourites, because Michael Owen, Nicholas Anelka, Jermaine Defoe, Gianfranco Zola, Bergkamp, and some people talk about Diego Costa as well, who I think scored 20 goals twice, but only got to 20 goals, are not in this bracket, which hurts. Right, Kane versus Collymore. I will just say Collymore was outrageous for Forest in the season that they finished. I want to say third, long time ago. But it's Harry Kane. Okay, obviously. Fowler and Darren Bent. Darren Bent made it in there. Darren Bent's a little bit... Yes. He's an odd one, wasn't he? He was just able to sniff out goals wherever he wanted to be.
Not Robbie Fowler, though, is he? Not Robbie Fowler.
No, I think this is a pretty easy one. I did want to just say, Bent's best season 24 for Sunderland. Yeah. Just the one assist. Got a few penalties in there. Anyway, Fowler, easy, bosh. Okay, right, we make our way through. Let's go back, see where we're at. So, these are your next set of brackets. Should we go left to right again?
Yeah, man. I think we can rattle off Ferdinand. Sorry,
we'll slow down, okay? Slow down. Because Les Ferdinand is so disrespected, it's outrageous. This is the not
talking about here. We're talking about a player joining a new league at 22, breaking every record the league's ever seen and winning a treble. Don't try and sneak Ferdinand through the back door here.
I'd like to see this go to the vote, if I'm honest. I don't know how I do this. Yeah, Haaland's pretty good, isn't he? But if Haaland, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to make it a thing.
It's happening. This is one of the biggest happens on the list.
All right.
Honestly.
All right. But Ferdinand could have gone further if he was up against someone else. Right, put Haaland through. Okay. Oof. Or is it?
Yeah. I don't know whether it's as much of an earth as we think.
No.
I think it just is Thierry, isn't it? Like, again, let's just step back from the stats and think about them as players at their peak. I don't think there's a man born that would say Van Persie's a better player than Henry. So, Henry, me, every day.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think literally every single metric, every single attribute, the beloved trophies that have to be associated with a striker for them to be thought of as good in your world.
They tip the scales, Jimbo. They tip the scales.
I actually think, again, say you got right. If it's harder to score goals and you get less chances, but you score 20 goals, that's less of an achievement than having double the chances in a better team. Just explain that to me. Just explain it to me.
I just think that, the calibre of the silverware some of these players were talking about as well has to,
But Les Ferdinand had Ian Holloway in his team. Okay? Not Kevin De Bruyne. And Holloway had a great Premier League career. I'm not saying anything at you, Ollie, if you are watching.
Disrespect on Ian. He'll be all over somebody's podcast moaning about that comment.
I think that just needs to be remembered. I feel like that you're all missing something here. Anyway. Yeah, Henry, easy, through, bosh. Right. Suarez, Aguero.
Oh.
This is an oof. This is tough.
This is peak. I think the chat need to realise this is peak. If we're talking about Aguero's Premier League career, it's a no-brainer. It's a demolition. It's a decimation. Aguero goes through 7 days a week. But peak seasons, Luis Suarez, in the James Allcott world of, worst players playing around you make your case stronger, I think has to be taken into account here. And the fact that, actually, like, watching him, again, taking a step back from the stats, he was just brutal, man. Like, his dribbling ability, like, his all-round play was better than Aguero's. Like, I love Aguero, such a clinical finisher. I think you saw what Suarez went on to become at Barcelona, which is maybe, if we were talking about career-wide peaks, Suarez might actually win this whole thing. Because I think there was a time when he was legitimately like the third best player in the world, or second best player in the world.
Yep.
Which I'm not sure you can say about too many players on this list. Maybe Harry Kane at the moment, but like, and Thierry Henry obviously. But like,
let me give you some stats just because they work in Aguero's favour just for this debate. Okay, so 184 Premier League goals, obviously more. He had 6 seasons where he scored 20 plus goals. He's got the most Premier League hat tricks with 12. He's got the best goal per 90, apart from Haaland, sorry. He's got 0.8, which is obviously better than Suarez, 0.6. He's 5th on the all-time list.
There's a big but here. There's a big but. But we're talking peaks. And even statistically, Luis Suarez's peak season was technically more goals, more non-penalty goals, and like we said, aesthetically better than Sergio Aguero. But Sergio Aguero, career-wide, takes this across his Premier League. But as a singular season for me, I'm saying Suarez, man.
Mate, I'm actually totally with you. People have always got a bit. They get annoyed when I talk about Aguero because I do struggle with the fact, as I've kind of revealed already, that when you've kind of got everything there for you to score goals, then you should be able to score goals. That said, he was an amazing scorer of goals. His best season was 26. And as you say, Suarez's best was 31. In that same season, his goals and assists, 43. Wow.
Yeah, and
so he's creating too.
I think it was 31 non-penalty goals as well, because Stevie G took pens.
Correct. Right. That is correct. Yeah. What was the vote? 74% to Suarez. Suarez goes through. Suarez is going to be tough to beat him.
Was that strong, man? I think Suarez could go deep here.
Yeah. Okay. Dwight Yorke. I really want to know who the player that I'm missing is. James, if you know who that person is, he's my producer, James. I'm not talking to myself. Then please let me know. It's not Dwight Yorke. I'm sure it's not Dwight Yorke. Anyway. Dwight Yorke against Wayne Rooney. I mean, I don't want to take long. Oh, no players missing, by the way. Just the order might be different. Okay, you say staying with Dwight Yorke. Rudy, easy. Do we even want to debate this?
No, Rooney.
Okay,
got me. I like Dwight Yorke, but again.
Okay, so
that sets up a horrifying quarter-final leg.
Wowee! So still to come: Haaland versus Henry, Suarez versus Rooney. Can you tell why I'm excited about this series? Good grief. Right, let's make our way over to the right-hand side of the bracket. Okay, what have we got here? Oof. Shearer versus Van Nistelrooy.
Ooh. It's Alan. Love Rude, but I think Alan Shearer. We're saying that. Let's classify what Alan's peak was. Are we actually saying it was that Blackburn season?
Yeah, I think it is.
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
I just don't think Van Nistelrooy can live with that, despite the fact he went treble 20s. But I think, for me, it has to be Alan.
Yeah, I think if you think of what Van Nistelrooy's best stat, first of all, Shearer's better at a lot of other things, like the kind of screamers he used to score. And also, a bit of a history lesson for the kids out there. Shearer, a lot of people know about Shearer, kind of sort of stocky hold-up man, back to goal, and then sort of, poached a goal, scored a screamer. He was so complete when he was younger, but he's got, I think it was knee injuries or something like that. But in that period of time, he was actually, I honestly think, again, I'm really old, but my first year, when all those stats stay in your mind, it was 92, 93, because I got a Parker pen for Christmas, and so I was just write down all the stats, which I would imagine all of you can believe. Anyway, Shearer in that season, I think either broke his leg or did his knee, but he was on about 18 goals at December or something stupid. And he ended up still, I think, being top goal scorer despite missing like 4 months of the season and then coming back. Like, that's how good he was. I think this is easy. And I think we might need to save the power stats for the next round. So Shearer goes through.
Yeah, I agree.
And sorry, the thing I was going to say was that Shearer, I would say Shearer is better than what Van Nistelrooy was best at. I think it's close.
A goal scorer.
Yeah,
I agree.
Okay. Ooh, Hasselbaink versus Drogba. A lot of people won't think this is their thing. I think it's closer than people think in terms of ability. I think the problem for Hasselbaink.
I think in terms of, again, peak season, mate. This is, that one season from Didier.
So yeah, is that what we're zoning in on? It's that one season, right?
It's peak, isn't it? We are talking peak here, man. Again, the only negative accusation that weirdos level against Didier Drogba is that he didn't score 20 goals enough. I think it was just 2 times across his Chelsea lifetime he scored 20 plus Premier League goals. I think actually the only 2 times he scored more than 12. But as an all-round footballer, when you actually watched him, again stepping away from the stats, what were we watching in that one season? It was beast mode, taking everybody on, ripping centre backs apart, winning everything in the air. What we did,
yeah, you're right. Hasselbank's got more goals overall in the Prem, but Drogba has a better goals per 90. So Drogba goes through because it isn't all about the stats. But I'm just giving you the stats to sort of paint a bit of a picture.
This is a tough one, man.
This is a tough one. Ooh.
Really tough. Really tough.
Ooh. Ooh, I love that. It's a good matchup.
Great matchup. One of the best matchups we've seen so far, I think.
I think I go with Vardy, personally.
Oh, I think I go with Andy Cole.
Oh, it's tight. Let's so peak. Ooh. I think if you go overall, I'd give it to Cole. But I think in terms of in one season dragging a team somewhere, even the 93-94 season where he was at his best at Newcastle, I think Peter Beardsley, and I'm not going to do the impersonation, guys, scored 20 or something close to that as well. As a whole team,
Cole got 14 assists, mate. Cole got 14 assists and 34 goals. I know that we're talking about an extended season here, but 48 goal involvements. That's clear of anybody else's combined goal and assist numbers in the history of the league for a single season.
Yeah, but what did he win? Do you know what I mean?
It's true. It's a drawback.
I think finally we might have to go to a vote here. I'm struggling to.
I think we might.
You think Cole? You think Cole?
I think Cole.
I guess. Well, how much do you allow for the majesty of the season? The majesty of the season, kind of gives Vardy kind of maybe that, and he was so crucial. They won the league.
He was. You're right. But I think Vardy. I know that Leicester. I'm not trying to shit on the Leicester story here, but it was a bizarre season where there wasn't that one standout team competing with them. It's just a fact. Whereas Andy Cole was having to compete with that Man United team. That were even then consistently very much the title dominant force. So
I think we go to the vote. We've got to go to the vote.
Send that one to the vote.
Okay. Let's close the vote and let's find out who is the daddy. Vardy broke the Robin Van Nistelrooy record, people say. Vardy, for the reason that Cole, as great as he was, had a sensational team around him. The winner is Jamie Vardy, 58% to 41%. Ouch.
I'm disappointed. Though.
I think that's the right decision.
I think that's exactly why Andrew Cole calls himself disrespected.
Yeah, I think that's an easy thing to do. Okay. Right. Oof. Kane and
Yeah,
Fowler.
mate. Let's not give this uffs. Let's not start giving this uffs. This is Harry Kane.
I need to rein in my uffs. Is that what you're saying?
I think the uff count is getting extended here. Like, I understand that Robbie Fowler was absolutely exceptional, but going by your own logic here, Jimbo, despite the fact he's been playing on a pretty torrid Tottenham team, Harry Kane.
Yeah.
He's so good. It's hard to pick a singular prime season. Harry Kane.
Yeah, you're right. I what was the one I said? Over 20.
There's a gap between his two best seasons. 2017-18, he put up 30 goals, and then 2022-23, obviously last season, put up 30 goals. So like a 5-year prime, effectively there. Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's tough to beat.
Yeah. I think there is a stat. Again, I'm going to say for later. I think Kane does get through this pretty easy, and I don't want to go to the vote because I know we've got a lot of Liverpool fans, and I fear that they'll just kind of
sack that off.
Fowler got unfortunate with the knee injury. It's not a debate. It's Harry Kane. It is Harry Kane, and people will get annoyed by that, but
this is where it gets spicy, mate.
That's the correct answer. Okay, right. Let's return. Here we go. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. If you're enjoying yourself, hit the like button for me. Subscribe. Okay. I'm not going to say the word, but I'm thinking it. We move back over to the left-hand side in our quarterfinals.
Oh dear, this one is just horrid, bro. It stinks. Haaland versus Henry.
Okay.
I want people at home, I want the chat to realise this is prime season. So we're talking about like singular campaign, not what Henry did across his Premier League history, which obviously sets him apart with many of these players. The singular prime season, like which we've never seen before from Erling Haaland, a 22-year-old joining the league for the first time and absolutely demolishing it. And I understand he was put into a team of exceptional players, but let's not start pretending Thierry Henry wasn't in a team full of exceptional players here.
That's a good point.
This is tough.
Haaland, obviously, 36 goals in 22-23. Jack. Is he the best player in their team? In that Man City team? In his one season? Is he the best player?
Oh, it's Kevin De Bruyne. And this is where I was going to bring it back to it. Because at this stage, I think when you're at this level of player, you've got to take stats out of the equation to a level. And you've just got to say, who's the better footballer, Jimbo? And it's Thierry Henry. It is, man. If you could give me either of those two guys right now to play in my team, I would take Thierry Henry 100 times out of 100.
Absolutely.
That speaks volume.
Absolutely. Haaland is not the best player in the Man City team. It's Kevin De Bruyne is the best player. Thierry Henry was, by an utter mile, the best player in that Arsenal team. He was an utter joke.
For me.
Even with some of the I'd love to. Yeah, I think this is where you go. Okay, if you want to do the stats thing, then you could maybe carve something out in terms of all the records and stuff. But I think football has changed a lot, and I think Henry has probably been a part of creating that change. Although that said, it's kind of come back round now. So you've got a striker like Haaland who just isn't really interested in touching the ball. I think actually that looks like an earth. It's not an earth. It's quite easy.
I agree. I think it's Jerry.
I reckoned as well. I reckon the poll's a landslide. My prediction for the poll is I think it's 80 plus for Henry. Easy. Maybe that's just the Arsenal fans. I don't know. But I think everyone try and be as neutral as possible if you can, please. Despite me trying to get Ferdinand past Haaland. Henry makes it through. He's in the semi-finals. Which I think
this is where it gets awful. Awful. Can't even look at it.
Okay. Talk to me about Wayne Rooney. Joe.
I think it's difficult with Rooney because he's almost been so good so consistently. You struggle to put your finger on the moment of prime Rooney. Like you could almost say, was prime Rooney 2004 Rooney at the Euros, man? Like that was as devastating as we've ever seen an 18-year-old perform on the international stage, at least in my lifetime. But if we're talking domestically in the Premier League, I think you have to look in that like 3 on the bounce sort of period. I think you have to look probably 2009-10 when he put up the 26 goals. And I can't recall as good of an all-around striker as Rooney.
Yeah.
I feel like he's the only player of these quarter-finalists you could play in centre mid. You could play him at right back. You could play him like
That's a good point.
anywhere on the field effectively, and he would be one of the best players. Whereas there's a number of players on here, I think if you took them out of that striker role, how much else have they got to their game other than being a goal scorer? Like, I think Vardy, great player, but like he's a goal scorer.
Yeah. You're right. He's not. So on Football Manager, he's not a complete striker. Whereas Vardy's an advanced forward,
And
isn't
Suarez, man, had that season where he was just like unbelievable, and I think you got to take into account the fact he missed the first quarter of it with the ban, like I said earlier. Still put up those numbers. Like if he hadn't have been banned for 7 or 8 games, however many it was, how many would he have finished on? Because he got 31.
It's not about it's not about liking him. Suarez was especially during those Premier League years far less likable.
It is about liking him. But I'm not putting Suarez through for that fact. I'm going Rooney. This should be Rooney. Totally unlikable guy, Luis Suarez, and that drops him right down for me. Reminded me of that.
Seeing them both live. One of these players is a player who he took my breath away in a way where I was like, just oh my god, how on earth do you stop this dude? And it wasn't Wayne Rooney.
I want this one to go vote then. I'm not shifting on Wazza.
See, prime. Look, I think in terms of numbers, right? Like you say, Wayne Rooney, utterly complete as much as Suarez. He got over 20 goals and assists on 8 separate seasons. And then all the other numbers are there for you. Obviously, loads more trophies. But if you're building a team and you've got to pick someone for that game in their peak, I think it's Suarez. I think it's Wazza
because I don't think Suarez's peak was at Liverpool.
All right, so you're not having any of the we're not aware of Barcelona. Yeah, I get what you mean. That makes it closer.
Say that, we never saw him in Barcelona. I think it does bring it. Like, obviously, the things he did at Barcelona, I'll take into account separately. But in this debate, if you were just to say that, I don't know. I think I want to see this one go to the vote, and I do think people will end up going with Suarez just because he's got that Barcelona factor. People in the chat will be taking in the back of their heads the Barca Suarez coming to play.
I wasn't thinking about the Barca Suarez, but what I was thinking was that kind of reaffirms my feeling that I would go for Suarez over Rooney. Suarez scored free kicks, Rooney scored free kicks. Suarez scored screamers, Rooney scored screamers. The vote is in. 74% went for Suarez.
No, man.
Sorry, dude. I'm sorry. Oh, no, we've got more on this left-hand side, haven't we? Okay, next up. Is that everyone? No, hang on.
Yeah, we're on to Shearer.
Yeah, we're on the left hand. Let's go. Off we go. So if you want to just have a quick look, this is where we're at. What the first semi-final has been decided. Henry will take on Luis Suarez. Woo!
So we just have a reminder to people, this is prime season. This is not the Premier League career. This is their prime season, the best of the best.
Okay. Right. So as we work our way through, we now have
Shearer. This one we can blast through, mate.
Okay. Shearer versus Drogba. Drogba?
Absolutely.
Did you say Drogba?
Shearer.
Okay,
7 days a week.
Yeah.
Twice on a Sunday.
Drogba's had a good run, hasn't he? He's had a good run because he's like, it's one of those which not. What's good about it being prime is coming back to your sort of title thing. That's the thing where Drogba's obviously got Shearer, but he's had more opportunities to do that, which is my point. When you're playing for Newcastle and they're trash, and you got Xavi playing centre back, then that makes life a little bit harder. Okay, I think Shearer goes.
They weren't always trash, and let's not start this like the teams Shearer played in were bad. Like that. Blackburn
they were bad.
Team was.
He played in one good team. Blackburn were good.
No.
Newcastle were good for a season, at best 2 seasons, and then were awful up to 2004. Anyway, he goes.
He's going for it anyway. He's going for it.
Yeah. Vardy versus Kane. Easy.
No, Kane.
Kane, yeah. I don't want to mess about there.
Sorry, Jamie. It's been a nice run, but you've done well to get to the quarters, lad.
And that's a lot, isn't it? Okay. Well, that was easy. So, I think that's good, man. I like that final four. I think that's the correct final four. I really do.
Would have had Wazza, but United in me, isn't it?
Okay. Let's start. Henry Suarez. Oof. Sorry, I've got to stop. I'm really sorry I keep saying oof. Right, here we go.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
So we have had a lot of debate there, Suarez. So Suarez comes in on a wave of negativity. But we also know he's had a very, very strong year.
And the difference with Henry versus Haaland, when we were having that debate, is it was extremely clear where Henry took every ability level to a new sort of tier above Haaland. Like his dribbling, passing, his creation, like everything was better than Haaland, really, except for maybe clinical finishing, I guess people could give to Haaland. But Suarez's like tight dribbling in zones was amazing as well. His body strength was incredible. His balance was out of this world. I don't think it's... I think I'm going to come down on Henry, but I don't think it's as much of a gap as some people would have you believe.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's really close. I think it's super close. I quickly looked at goals per 90, where Henry's got 0.7, Suarez got 0.6. Now, goals and assists per 90, who do you think's got more?
In their best season?
Full stop. In their time in the Premier League.
Oh, Thierry.
You think Thierry? Thierry is correct. 1.1 to Suarez, 0.9.
Yeah, and I think Thierry's... If we're saying it could have been around that invincible season as well, like... No, for me, this one's going to go to Henry. Love Suarez, but I think his peak was at Barcelona. Henry's peak was at Arsenal, and I think, as I've come down to previously, if I was to take either of them in my team tomorrow, I'd take Henry.
I think you're right. I think sometimes it's like the sort of hustle of Suarez is amazing and interesting. When you said his best years were at Barcelona, I was like, really? But I guess in terms of quality, I guess he's with players that can allow for that. But there was less. Yeah, exactly. And there's less dragging there in that Barcelona team, obviously because you've got so many stars there. Henry, it was all a bit more free flowing, but he was able to sort of, in a smooth fashion, drag Arsenal when necessary. I think I agree with you. I think I go Henry, which I think some people get a bit annoyed about, which is fine. But I think if you've not really seen peak Henry, it's very difficult to explain to people. Like he was a joke. He was a joke. This again,
he was doing single-handed.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say this phrase a lot during the series, but some players make the game feel like it's in fast forward, and some make it feel like it's in slow mo. And these are the two opposites. Suarez sort of hurried you and sort of scurried about, especially at Liverpool. And then Henry just like pulled away from you. Amazing. Yeah. Henry, for me, makes it through. Intrigued to see how the vote goes. Again, I think there might be a Liverpool sway here. But it's not up to you lot. It's up to us on this occasion, I'm afraid. Now, here we go. Shearer versus Kane. Oh my God. So both players have on 9 separate seasons scored over 20 goals and assists. Peak years.
I think, if you take into account their sort of season, like the goal differential between them, I think like 30 to 34, and one was an extended period as well, wasn't it? It was in a 42-game season. So it's like, let's say if it wasn't 42 and you remove those 4 games and you drop back down to 30 and it was 30-30 in terms of goals.
Yeah.
I don't think statistically you can sway it either way. So I think it's going to come down to our feeling here, Jimbo.
Oh, this is horrible. So, and
if Kane had stayed in the league, he would have broken Alan Shearer's record. If he'd have stayed here for another 5 years, he would have surpassed it. Fact. Factos.
Oh, man. So in the top 25 Premier League goal-scoring seasons, Shearer is 2nd, 5th, 6th, and 23rd. Harry Kane is 9th, 10th, 14th, and 22nd. That's how dominant they are in terms of season after season. Like when I'm looking at it here, their name is just there time and again. This could have been a final.
And for the people that listen, and it's like, well, you said like 2nd, 3rd versus 9th, 10th. It's like one goal in it. That'd be like 31 2 seasons in a row, and Kane's gone 30. So
I could say, exactly. You're right. So Shearer 94-95, the season they won the league. So it was a 20-team season, I think, I want to say. 34 goals that year. He then scored 31 in 2 other seasons with Blackburn, again, that period. So that was his peak, 93 to 96. But yeah, just with 30 goals, so obviously 1 goal less to Shearer's 2nd and 3rd best. You've got Harry Kane 2017-18, 22-23, and Harry Kane then 29 in 2016-17. So for Harry Kane, peak in terms of goals, which actually this is interesting because if I make it goals and assists, I think
Shearer will be in there as well, man, for that, because like a lot of knockdowns and things like that.
So in a single season, when it comes to goals and assists, you ready?
Yeah.
Shearer's, so the best is actually Andy Cole, 48, which you obviously had said. Alan Shearer, 47, is 2nd best. Yeah. Harry Kane's best is 34, I've got here. Which doesn't sound totally right, but I thought he had 15 and 15 or something. Hopefully,
I think as well, you've got to take into account that. Obviously, Harry Kane took pens as well, but in that season, Alan Shearer, you're mentioning there, 11 pens.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's true.
A lot. It's a wild number. But obviously, Harry Kane took pens as well. So, like, we're talking 5s and 6s for him. 11's a wild number, but it's so difficult, man, because you can't even say one was playing in a massively superior side, because at times that Tottenham team was an absolute disgrace around Harry Kane. No, I think last season actually might have been one of Harry Kane's most impressive seasons because the team around him was so terrible. Antonio Conte was an absolute disgrace in charge of that club. I think.
Do you know what I've got? Yeah, I think I've come to a decision.
Oh my god, I'm gonna say Kane.
I'm gonna say Kane too. Here's why.
Wow.
Because I think as an all-round striker, and Shearer had a little bit of pace. Probably had more pace in his prime. Actually, we're talking prime. You talk.
Yeah, a little bit. But I agree. I think Harry Kane's passing range was superior. I think, like, in terms of finishers, like, gunman, like, head to head, it's nothing to separate.
Yeah,
like, Harry Kane is just as elite of a finisher, I think. Like, obviously, Shearer's got the bangers on his roster. So's Harry Kane. But I just think his passing ability, his ability to drop in deep and split defences and spray balls in a pretty mediocre Tottenham team. Against also, I'm going to go out and say it, Jimbo. I think it's a lot harder now in the Premier League, like at the very elite of the elite level, than it was in the 90s. Like, I think teams are set up better. I think the tactics make it a lot more difficult.
So you don't rate Pele? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're trying to say? Not into Pele. Can we clip this up? Someone clip this up?
Not really. Well, obviously, sensational player, but never saw him. So. I just think the teams are better now. I think it's harder to score goals than it was in the 90s. And I think it's harder to look good now than it was in the 90s. Like, I think you could have individualistic stars stand out in the 90s. Whereas I think it's actually harder to be like a superstar individual now. I don't know whether that's just my recency bias talking, but
I think, Joe, I'm going to give it to Kane as well. And the reason I'm going to give it to Kane is because, especially at Blackburn, the way that the team was set up, it was all for him. So you had, I want to say, Stuart Ripley and Jason Wilcox, and their whole game was get wide, cross it in, get wide, cross it in, get wide, cross it in. And so a lot of goals were, there was service, essentially. Harry Kane has actually had to serve others and score all these goals.
Yeah, I'm going Kane.
Yeah, I'm going to go Kane too. Okay. Kane Henry, final.
Wow. Oh, gosh. Good gosh.
Striker in their prime.
I'm sorry, Jimbo. I think this one is easier than Kane versus Shearer.
I thought so too. I feel so too.
I think it just is Thierry Henry. Like, as good as Harry Kane is, and as many goals as he scored, and yes, he would have gone on to beat the record, and his all-round play is amazing, he's just not Thierry Henry, which is no disrespect, because Thierry Henry is a freak like we've never seen, maybe, in this league. For me, it's Thierry Henry. He had the ability to single-handedly pick the ball up 30 yards from goal, beat 5 players and stick it in the top corner, which I just don't think Harry Kane had. That's not Harry Kane's fault, because he's a different type of player, but for me, it's Thierry.
I think aesthetically, Henry obviously it's just so far ahead from that point of view. Like the socks, he's gorgeous. Like the pace, the guile. He's a gazelle, isn't he? He's a gazelle. So it's different. Like in terms of overall strengths and weaknesses, Henry, was he good with his head? Does that matter? I know it's not sexy, but like when you talk about being a striker and scoring goals, I think on the bulk of the metrics when it comes to goal scorers, Kane is out in front with a much worse team.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? He just is. He is. Just so
and you're right. I'll say it back to you. You just said, and he just is. And he just is. So, I think we're being slightly disrespectful to Harry Kane here. Like, I think you're probably right. And my gut went straight away to Henry.
Yeah.
But I think if we're talking a striker I think it still is Henry. I can't do it. Like, if I just want to be the stats guy, yeah. If you do want to just be the stats guy, then like you can make a stronger argument. And if Flav was in your seat, this could be a very different conversation. But I think it just has to be Henry.
It's Thierry, man. It's Thierry.
Yeah. Is there? Are we ever going to get to a world where Henry doesn't win a lot of these things? It's hard, isn't it?
Potentially, man. Potentially. Haaland, by the time he's like 28, might just be in a realm that we've never, ever seen. Like,
yeah. Do you know what? Do you want to be a good one? Do you want to be a really good one? And actually, I want to ask you as well. We'll see what the vote is. And I also want to say, was there a better final? I'll ask you that. I'll answer that in a minute. But what would be a great debate? I think when you do like greatest Premier League players of all time, I think there's such a strong conversation when it comes to Salah and Henry, and De Bruyne and Henry as well. Yeah. We're getting to that stage, because they've got the stats as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just the nostalgia factor with Henry as well, which kind of peaks it a little bit, isn't it? For me, I'm going to go Henry here. Pretty happy with our selections, Jimbo. Pretty happy with the final four being shut down to those two.
Yeah, I think we've done pretty well. So the final poll from you guys was 61% to Henry, 38% to Kane. Joe, thank you very much. Should there have been someone else in the final? Just say.
Wazza?
No. You still putting Wazza in there? Surely not.
Nah, he would have gone out at the semi-final stage to Henry, but
okay. Right, guys, that is the best Premier League striker in their prime bracket. If you've enjoyed yourself, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one so you can vote, and hit the like button. If we get enough likes, we'll do our favourite strikers. And maybe we'll take Henry out of it. Maybe. Time will tell.